Hi everyone, and welcome to this part 2 of how to run Master Flashpoints in Master Mode solo. So in the previous version of the video you've seen me just running through all the bosses without much of the explanation, so just purely the fights. In this one I'm gonna be showing you how to do it and what you have to watch for. I'm gonna be skipping most of the regular mobs, as I don't think it's really necessary for a guide. You just have to be careful not to pull too many, and pretty much that's all the tricks about it. Now I know this one first here is not a boss, it's just a regular mob, basically, just a little bit harder. As we see, they're just regulars, regs, and this one is the elite. First thing to know here is once they become the enemy, they won't attack you straight away. So you can prepare yourself, sort of, for the attack and attack on your terms instead of what these mobs are doing.
Save your breath. You're dead.
Blasters out! Attack! Attack!
Okay, you just pull backwards. You don't need any stealth, as you see. You just pull backwards and they won't attack you. You wanna buff yourselves up. That was a close one. I actually forgot to switch some of my settings back. But even that this one was sloppy, yeah, you still should be fine, just like I was here. Alright, let's move to the next boss. Okay, so we are the first boss, quote unquote. As you see, there is not a single champion mob who counts as a boss. This is more of a puzzle boss, if you know what I mean. They all just elites. What I mean a puzzle is, for example, let's say we're DPS in the sergeant, we're trying to get the sergeant down. At some point his health gonna pop back on to 100%. It's because of this guy, this little droid. This droid, Doc Simon, is actually healing the rest. So if their health drops really low, he's gonna top them up to 100%. And that's the regular healing, like let's say whatever I'm doing here, is just gonna be 100%. So you need to DPS him as much as you can. You could technically leave him alive if you're in a full group, as he can be interrupted. That heal he does can be interrupted. But if you're solo like I am now, there is a risk one of his heals gonna go through and it's gonna ruin your day. So after downing the doc, you're switching off to this little guy, the private crosshairs. He's a sniper, and he should go second. Why? Is because he casts something called snipe, and if it catches you, you're gonna be debuffed. That debuff is pretty much lethal, as in, yeah, 1 or 2 is fine. Now, I'm not sure because I never found a confirmation, but from my experience here while doing this solo, or even in a group, when you're in a melee class and melee range, he gets rid of his sniper rifle and he switches to vibroblade and he's pretty much harmless. You just need to be careful to still be in melee range with him. On range class, I don't actually remember if I seen him switching for the vibroblade or he was still in sniper. For sure, many times, I think even on my video, he was still with the sniper rifle even that I was standing on top of him with Modluko. Alright, not more talking. As for the other two, there is not much many tricks. I usually go with this guy. He seems to hit harder than the sergeant. This sergeant or commander, whatever, is basically a pushover. Okay, so first what I want to do is, like I said, get rid of the doc. Oh, also, it's a choice if you want to go with a DPS companion or a healer. I prefer to go with DPS because I like the DPS faster.
You never should have attacked us! You never should have attacked us! Imperial arrogance knows no bounds. Too easy. beaten worse than you.
This is the captain. If you can hear this, we need you on the bridge.
That's pretty much it. As you see, it was a close call. I could have waited and not waste the med pack because I took it just after they died. But yeah, that's pretty much it about the boss. As you've seen, the snipe was pretty bad, and he didn't switch to his vibroblade. So I'm guessing it's because on the other my attempts I came here on a melee class. Anyhow, let's move to the next box. Okay, so we are at second boss now, the fishy. I forgot to hit the record button, so I forgot to show you something about him. There's few things to know about him. First of all, he hits hard, and I mean he hits really hard. He can basically 2-3 shots you depending on his crit. So you have to be careful. Stay away from him as much as you possibly can. If you're a melee class, allow your companion to DPS him. Make sure if you have like a taunt, let's say you're on an assassin or a juggernaut, not a tank but a DPS. Keep using the taunts so the aggro will be on you and your companion can DPS him. Because that's pretty much the trick on a melee class. It's much easier than trying to DPS him yourself. There are a few windows in which you can actually DPS him yourself. That's at the beginning, and that's each time he's making those probes. That's actually why I popped him earlier. So the trick is about those probes. They're here for a reason. He's dropping them every 10 seconds, something like it. They are lethal. Not only they have like this flamethrower around them. If you stay in their range, you're gonna get a debuff called burning. You're basically burning, and it's gonna stack up higher and higher. At some point, it will be unsurvivable. It's just gonna be too high, and you basically gonna die. Not to mention that he's gonna be on your ass at this point because. Like I said, he hits like a truck. You do not want to be stationary. One thing to note, if you want to have freedom here, I just killed those 2 mobs, which usually most of the groups just skip. You just go around here and you just skip them. I killed those 2 droids because that allows you more freedom of space. I could technically kill those 2 as well, those 3 as well, but I never bumped into them, so I don't think they are the problem. What's worth mentioning? Actually, let me show you the probe. I'm gonna have to sacrifice myself.
You think you're
There you
tough
go.
meat?
Plasma probe.
Part of me was hoping you'd try to board this ship.
And if I go into here, it gives me burning debuff. And if I have the debuff and I'm burning, it's a periodic damage, but it's only when he hits me. Check this out. If he hits me, I'm pretty much dead in a few seconds. Boom. At some point, he might enrage. Especially if you're using healer companion. Some people like to approach this with a healer companion if they solo. Truth, I haven't seen too many people that manage to solo this thing, because for some reason Black Talon is fairly difficult, not because of the amount of the mechanics that there are in the bosses, because there are not that many, but because the enrage timer on master mode version of this flashpoint, which is this one, is ludicrously small, like short. I don't know why it's a thing, but it is. Sometimes I see normal, regular groups wiping here because the boss have hit enrage. I don't know why it's a thing, but it is a thing. Anyway, without further ado, let's kill the fishy.
So, you think you're tough meat? Ah! Part of me was hoping you'd try to board this ship. SWTOR! Attack! For the Republic!
And there you have it. He's dead. The fisher is no more. Alright, let's move to the next boss then. Alright, so if you are interested in the bonus boss, that's him. I already popped the console so he can show up. There's also a few things to know about him to be able to beat him. Usually, as far as I remember, it's in all of the flashpoints that has the bonus boss. Usually the bonus boss is one of the hardest ones. Yeah, it's not always the hardest in the flashpoints, in my opinion, but they always really hit hard. And this one is no exception. So, here, in my opinion, you really don't want to be using healer companion. You need the DPS companion. Like I said, all the bosses here in this flashpoints enrage very fast. And so pretty much you would have to go by the design of the flashpoint, so 1 tank, 2 DPSs and a healer. I'm talking about Master Ball, of course. If you would be a single DPS, that would be really hard, because your companion won't be DPSing much, because he will be focusing on healing you most, since your health will be low very fast. That's the first thing to know. Second, there's no tank, so there's no extra DPS. So it is more than likely you're gonna enrage him around 20%, maybe more. I haven't done it with a healer for a long time. I haven't tried even with a healer for a long time, because it just isn't worth it. The other thing is, even if you both are DPSing, it is still likely he's gonna enrage. However, because you have a DPS companion, you can cope with it. Those that have seen my video, my boss enrage. Sometimes I manage to, if I get lucky, I manage to DPS him fast enough before he enrages. Then that's what you want to go for. But sometimes you miss a skill, something happens, unlucky crit, lucky crit, doesn't matter. And he will enrage. And there you have to do the backup plan, which is basically stay out of sight at all times. First of all, as you know, he's doing those lasers. Let me actually show you what I mean with out of sight. I'm gonna die in this attempt, but you see? He's doing those lasers. If I go so he doesn't see me, it breaks completely. He just basically... Yeah, well, my companion's gonna die. But that intention was just to show you the out of sight man. There you go, he has to come to me. And I can pretty much keep him without him doing any damage to me if you're, I don't know, agile enough, careful enough. Basically, you can have some fun with him. You have to be careful though, and while you can I mean before he enrages, you want to inflict your damage as much as you can. The reason being is your companion might take the aggro. If he does, that's pretty much what happened here, but here it was because I wasn't doing anything at all. If your companion takes the aggro, it's bad news, because essentially if you don't have a resurrection, like a combat res, like I do have on a merc, you're not gonna be able to get your companion back, you're gonna wipe it. Especially on classes like Assassins and Juggernauts and Marauders, that and Power Techs, that are not able to res anyone. Okay, so pretty much that was what I did a scenario if he would enrage basically. But now you know why to stay out of sight. Right, without further ado, let's just kill him. There you go. He actually didn't enrage this time, as on my original video of this. Maybe it's because I got a hang of it or something, I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much this boss. This is a nasty guy. And as you noticed, even that he wasn't enraged yet, I backed off. I just let my companion DPS him, because as you noticed, I ran out of cooldowns. I could mimic it and do the rapid scans, an emergency scan all over, blah blah blah. But honestly, I don't think it's worth the stress. You can just calmly and peacefully just run around with that thing, maybe DPS once or twice, and that's pretty much it. Let him be on his way to death or wherever the droids are going to. Right, let's move to the last boss. Alright, so right now we're at the last boss, and there's also a few things about it. One of you have actually asked me in the comments, are some of the companions immune to her, like, whirlwinds, force whirlwind, whatever, tornado thing, or not? I'm gonna check it now. I'm gonna wipe it intentionally just to see how it's gonna go. I'm gonna do it with my normal way. It's just gonna be to see. Before I do that, a few things. The whirlwind thing in master mode is 100% lethal. If you are in the range of it, you die, and there is no exception. I think reflection might save you. I never really risked it. Oh, we can test it now, actually, as well. While performing the test, the companion will always get pulled or not. So that's the first thing. Alright, let's test those two things. First, is the companion being pulled? Second, does the reflection, or in my case, responsive safeguards, can save you or not? I don't think so, because as far as I remember, it's all incoming single target damage. It's an AoE, but maybe counts as a single target. There are things like that here. We'll see. Alright, let's just do it.
You may run, or you may stand your ground, but you'll go no farther.
Okay, let me move.
Going to win this.
No, companion stays place. The trick is if you're gonna be static and your companion gonna have a chance of, you know, being close. Okay, hang on, let's her do the whirlwind.
You aren't going to win
There
this.
you go, let's see.
I swear it.
And no, it still kills me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have the deflection. In that case, you're still gonna be killed. If I remember, I can test it with some other classes. I'm not gonna put it in this video since I don't know. I don't think it's gonna help you, but maybe the sorcerer bubble can help you. But I will post in the comments below or in the description if I happen to do it again on those set classes and see if this can save you. But anyway, let's get back to the boss and just kill her. But yeah, to answer the question, there is a reason why I'm moving kind of sideways at the beginning of the boss. On the assassin, I throw my lightsaber. On the operative, I just use I don't remember the equivalent of rapid shots. I think it's also rapid shots, maybe? Doesn't matter. On the mercenary, I use whatever range thing I can have. The reason is why I'm running sideways like this while trying to hit the boss is because once I engage the boss, my companion will stop in place. That's pretty much what happened over there. She's just stopped in place while I was still going. And that was and that's pretty much the trick. That way you're gonna separate yourself from the companion, and if you're gonna keep the aggro, you will. If you're doing proper DPS, you will keep the aggro from your companion. That way, if she does the whirlwind, your companion will not be pulled. Because about the immunity thing that you answered, some of you asked the question, it's not immune if it's in melee range, if that makes any sense. If it's far enough, it's, as you just seen yourself, it's just gonna stay in place. Regardless what companion it is. I checked it on the others as well. Last thing, yeah. You, however, will be pulled every time, doesn't matter where you move. There are things that can protect you. For example, hydraulic override will protect you from being pulled. Sometimes it bugs, I have a feeling, because in some of the flashpoints I noticed that even though it should work, and it sometimes does work, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what is it, but it's a thing. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, basically. Anyway, without further talking, or whatever people are saying these days, let's just kill the boss.
You may run, or you may stand your ground, but you'll go no farther. You aren't going to win this. I swear it. You aren't going to win this. I swear it.
And there you have it, she's dead. Oh, looks like my companion kicked the bucket. Well, it doesn't matter. Honestly, as far as my memory reaches, most of the time I let my companion die on this boss. And this one is also where... Oh wow, that just moved. Is she really dead? So, in this one, it's also a very short end range timer. However, on this one, you can allow yourself to use a healer, just like on the first boss in this flashpoint. There's also one thing worth noting. The trick which I used on the second boss also works over here. Plus, because she's doing those whirlwind thingies, that's your window to DPS her, because you don't want her jumping around if she enrages. I remember I enraged her once. I think my companion was in healing spec. I enraged and she was a nightmare, so I think I have a video here somewhere, but that's before 6.0, where this flashpoint in general was easier, and that was when I was finding out how to do it solo. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this flashpoint. I hope you like it. If you want to see some other flashpoints solo video, just let me know. But bear in mind, not every flashpoint in this game is capable of being soloed, if you know what I mean. Like, some of the flashpoints are very intensive on the mechanics of the fight. So basically solo, or even if we include our companion, so 2 people, you just can't do it. Just because of the mechanics. That's gonna be all in this video. If you like it, leave a comment, leave a like. If you have any ideas what you want to see, which I might know, I'm more than happy to show it to you guys. But anyway, you might also want to consider subscribing, since more of this content is coming, depending on how much time I have. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!